Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing part 2 of the Summer Wells case. Pretty much just because I felt like there was a lot I needed to clarify from the first one. I got done filming and I watched it and then I was like, shoot, I probably should have explained this. So if you haven't watched part 1, I'll link it in the description and you can go back and watch that first. So the first detail I want to go over is Summer's shaved head. A lot of people were wondering why her parents decided to shave her hair off in the months before her disappearance. I believe they said it was February or March when they did this, so it'd be like 4 months before she disappeared. According to Candace and Don, the boys in Candace were all shaving their heads, and Summer wanted to be like them and asked to have hers done too, which could very well be true. I can see that happening, especially because she was already a tomboy. It was going to be summer, and then in another interview, Don says that Summer tried to cut it herself and it was getting out of control, so they shaved it. Could it be both? Sure, but I feel like with every little detail of this case, there are conflicting explanations. Something as simple as, why was her head shaved? Like, I just feel like, you know, if it were the truth, they wouldn't have to remember and it would be different every time. You know what I'm saying? I also wanted to clarify the fact that Grandis actually lived in a camper that was in the Wells driveway, which was very close to the house. So when we're talking about, like, when they're going back and forth, it's literally just walking, like, across the driveway. It's brought up many times since that's where Summer was said to be planting flowers or cactuses or whatever it was right before she disappeared. Which I still think is weird because in an interview with, I think, both Candace and Grandis, they talk about how the cactuses were in one big one and they needed to be repotted into smaller ones. I don't know. Another thing I want to bring up is the explanation that they arrived home around 3:30 p.m., took their groceries into their house, Grandis's camper. Candace said that Grandis asked Summer if she wanted to help her replant the cactuses. Then after that, Summer went to go inside and see her brothers. And then Candace was like, oh, hang on a second, I have to help Grandma with her knee brace. And she said that right when she was done with that, she went back into the house and asked Summer's brothers where she was. And that's when they responded that she was in the basement playing with her toys. But all of these things together could not have taken more than a half an hour, maybe 45 minutes. And even the time frame, according to Candace, from when Summer went inside to play, in the 2 to 3 minutes it took her to help Grandis with her knee brace, you're telling me she went inside, said hi or whatever to her brothers, was like, hey, I'm going downstairs in the basement to play with my toys, and someone came onto their property, took Summer without any of them hearing or seeing, between 2 to 3 minutes? I'm sorry, I don't believe that for a second. Wouldn't they notice, like, a car or hear a car come up? Wouldn't they hear someone walking up, even if it was on the other side of the house? Wouldn't they hear, I'm assuming Summer would be screaming? I just don't get this. And then in an interview with Grandis, she does mention taking a nap when they got back home, which in her explanation, they put the groceries away, she went in her camper, took a nap, and then when she woke up is when she asked Summer if she wanted to to help plant the flowers. So what was Candace doing during that time? And why doesn't she talk about it? There seems to be like these gaps of time that just get completely erased, and they just mash it all together to delete whatever happened in the middle. But what they don't realize is that now the timeline doesn't make sense. I also would really like to know what the boys have to say about what happened during that time, because at their ages, I think it was like 9, 11, and 12 or something, they would know what happened and they would be able to give a pretty detailed explanation. Even if it was, like, I'm sure kids that age don't remember time, but even if they were like, yeah, well, Summer was out here, or yes, she was in the basement. You know what I mean? They would be able to remember that kind of stuff. My guess is that they were probably told what to say, just like all of the adults have rehearsed this same script, it seems. But weren't they interviewed right after she disappeared? Because that is an important time frame to get the answers before, there's like a story concocted. Like, oh, well, we gotta put our stories together to make sure they all match. And I'm pretty sure if the parents were like, we can't talk about this, or we can only talk about that, that the boys would feel pressured to do that. It's their parents. And another strange connection to this case is Candace Wells' younger sister, Marie Bly. She went missing in August 2009. Marie Bly was last seen leaving her residence in St. Croix Falls, Wisconsin, en route to Cushing, Wisconsin, a distance of 5 miles. Her car was recovered 5 days later in Grantsburg, Wisconsin, in a parking lot typically used by truck drivers to park their tractor trailers. This parking lot is approximately 30 miles from her residence. That's weird. How many families do you know have 2 members that have disappeared that are both related to the same person? I find it very strange. One of Don Wells' stepsisters actually came forward right after Summer went missing, and I believe they are going to be filing charges against him. When she was 5 years old and he was 12, he was SAing her and also a friend that came and stayed with her. Don has already been in trouble for SA numerous times, and now we have, I think, 5 or 6 other women that are coming forward saying that he has basically been doing this since he was a kid. So I guess his dad married this girl's mom, and so they started living together when she was 5 and he was around 12. Also, Don's 34-year-old son, Donald Wesley Wells, is a convicted sex offender, having pleaded guilty in Arkansas in 2007 to sexual indecency with a child. It's just great. And it really bothers me to know that all of these things happened when the children around Don were 5. And the fact that Summer was 5 years old at the time she disappeared. And that seems to be the time frame from when all of the SA starts with Don. I feel like everywhere you turn in this case, there is shady stuff going on. And I just feel so bad for Summer. I wish that CPS would have gotten involved earlier. Apparently, there had been other calls to CPS made because of the living conditions and saying that it was dirty, there was bugs everywhere, she didn't have like a bedroom to herself, but I guess nothing was done about it, which we're hearing more and more about. So the next thing I want to talk about is the home where Summer Wells lived.
So this is Candace showing me essentially where the boys were sitting. They were sitting right there at that table, looking at that TV, playing video games. Summer went down into the basement. She's pointing to this, table here that has basically a crawl space into it. And down into that crawl space goes down into the parents' and Summer's room. So I asked her if she would take me down there. She did. And so we crawl through there.
So
now,
can I stop you real quick, Chris? Because so this is the only way to get to Summers and the parents' room is through this crawl space.
Right. This is the way she said Summer went into that basement.
When she goes to show them Summer's bedroom, it is literally a cold, dark, nasty basement where there's a mattress on the ground and just toys everywhere. But both Candace and Don have stated that Summer has been sleeping with them pretty much her whole life. And they call that room the playroom. So I don't believe Summer actually had a room of her own, which, being the mother of a 7-year-old, I understand the whole them crawling into bed with you in the middle of the night thing because my child still does that. But for her to not have a room of her own, that's not cool. So this is the photo that's in question that comes from the video that Grandis took that day on the way home from the store.
And I was like, what's Summer doing? She's like, oh, she fell asleep. I was like, oh, how's she sleeping? And when I look back, because I'm driving, and I look back like this, she had her arms up like this, like her daddy sleeps all the time.
Okay.
So I wanted to catch that moment.
Okay.
You know, it's just things I do.
Right.
And I was like, here, Mom, hurry up, take that picture. And then she accidentally hit the video record instead of the picture part.
Okay.
So I was like, did you catch it? She's like, F, no, I accidentally hit the video part.
That's what you get for handing Grandma the camera.
Yeah, well, I was driving, though.
Okay.
And I was like, did she put her arm back down? She's like, yeah. I was like, dang. And then she got a picture of her, but by that time, her arm was down.
There's been literally, like, every little thing has been like, pointed out. Like, this is in the back, and this is not the car they're driving, and this is, like... I mean, people have slowed down the footage and have literally figured out where they were driving. There's so many people that think that she's actually deceased in that picture and that she died as a result of a dry drowning after the swimming hole. I personally don't believe that that is true. I believe that Summer was alive when they got back home. I think that whatever went down happened after they returned home that day. The reason I think that is because the timeline basically breaks apart at that point. Everything else kind of lines up and makes sense right up until they get home. And in Candace's explanation in the interview, it sounds like something that a normal parent would do. Like, oh, that's cute. She looks like her daddy sleeping. Take a picture. That seems like a reasonable explanation to me. And also in that interview, the way she's talking about it, she's kind of smiling and laughing, and like she's like remembering it happened. And that's kind of how if I was thinking about something like with my kid and I would be talking about it, like it seems genuine to me. I don't think that there's anything suspicious. Yeah, it's weird that she's sleeping on milk, but I don't think that there's anything off about it. Like, people are literally like, she's not breathing, her hands are blue. I think people are looking way too much into it. Who knows? Hopefully someday we'll find out, but I personally don't think that she was deceased in that picture. I could seriously make a 10-part series to all the theories of what happened. If everyone would just focus on those 3 hours before she went missing, I believe we would get more answers. Yes, I know that, basically the whole time around that day is important, but I think that everything else adds up, like I said before. I think that the timeline, especially when they were seen in public, I've heard that there's footage of them at either the grocery store or the Walgreens. I think it was the Walgreens. But Summer didn't go into the store. I think that, like I said, I'm pretty sure everything just falls apart when they get home. And that is where I think we need to focus. And you know what they always say? There are 3 sides to every story. His side, her side, and the truth. I just hope that it comes out soon. If there are any other things that you specifically want me to cover with this case, I'm more than happy to answer any comments or to come back with an update. But as of right now, unless something major happens, I'm going to move on to my next chapter. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.